In this recording, we'll go over how to create histograms and also QQ plots. So from StatCrunch, my stat lab, you want to select StatCrunch, data sets from the textbook, and this time we're going to use the birth data, the fourth data set down. And I'm going to create a histogram on the birth weight, which is shown right here. So I'm going to go to Graph, Histogram. I'm going to select birth weight, and right now I'm not going to pick any options. Let's just do a compute. Alright, so here's my histogram. So I noticed that the bin width here is going in 500 gram units, which looks pretty good. And I noticed that there's some outliers possibly on this end and maybe up here also, and I might want to identify what they are. So if I take my mouse and I drag it across one of these bars, it will highlight in the data set where that observation is. So this was a baby whose birth weight was only 300 grams. To unhighlight, click up here on row. Maybe I want to find out about these two up here on the high end. And I've got one there that was 4,500 grams. And I think there's another one if we scroll down. There should be a second one there at 4,700 grams. So that's a way for me to identify unusual values or even any values in any of the bars of the histogram. Also, there's options here. If you remember, we saw these before on frequency distribution. So I can do frequency, I can do a relative frequency if I'd like instead of the frequency. And that's going to change the y-axis here to be the percent or the relative frequency. The shape of the histogram is exactly the same. Now if I notice that this histogram, it looks like it's skewed to the left side here. And so I wonder what that would mean in terms of normality of this distribution. So it's probably not a normal distribution. And another way I can check that is to look at what's called the QQ plot. So if I go to Graph, QQ plot, I select the birth weight, and then let's go ahead and show the normal quantiles on the y-axis and hit compute. And now if you notice, and if you look at the notes in here, for this to be following a normal distribution, it should follow a fairly straight line and have no particular pattern here. Now I see number one, there's my outliers. And I do see a pattern here. I see a curved pattern. And I know that that's not really what I would expect to see if this were a distribution, if this were a histogram for a distribution that came from a normal distribution. So this is not a QQ plot that would lead me to believe that the distribution is normal, and in fact that agrees with what I see in the histogram.